Hey, Journey's Crossing, this is Jeff, and I want to share with you my least favorite verse in the Bible. You know, last week I shared you one of my favorite verses in Revelation about how great it's going to be in heaven when we're with Jesus all the time. Scott shared one of my favorite verses a week or two ago as he talked about how nothing can separate us from God's love. But I want to share my least favorite verse, and that's found at the very beginning of the book of James. James was Jesus' half-brother. He wrote this little tiny letter at the end of our Bibles, and after he says, hey, this is James, here's what he says. James chapter 1, verse 2. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. Shut up, James. I mean, I read that verse, I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. And by the way, if I was starting to write a letter to some people, that's not how I would open the letter. Because if I get a letter from someone like that, there's a good chance I might not continue reading the rest of the thing, right? I mean, that just seems like the worst possible thing that you could say to someone. He at least humors us and gives us the explanation to that in the next couple verses. He says, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow, so let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you'll be perfect and complete, needing nothing. When I hear the word endurance, I think a lot about running. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that that's something I'm endeavoring to do. I'm trying to be a runner. I've worked at this since I moved here to Maryland like 2.5 years ago, and I've never been a runner. So I've got a little phone app that started me out like running like a minute at a time, a minute and a half at a time with some walking in between, and then built me up to where I could run 30 minutes, and then which was not quite 3 miles for me, and now I can run over 4 miles. That's kind of my new record. Go me. And but man, it was not easy to get here. I've never been a runner. I've never liked running. It came with sore muscles. It came with me dealing with lungs that I used to have asthma, so trying to build up my lung capacity, shin splints and plantar fasciitis. I know I sound like an old guy talking about this, but I didn't like any of that. I didn't like my legs hurting, my lungs burning. I didn't like any of that. But it did help me build up my endurance to where, I'm pretty proud that I can run over 4 miles now. And then I think about my own personal history since I've been a Jesus follower. And I've dealt with a lot of stuff too. I've dealt with problems with parents. I've dealt with infertility, actually. I know that's shocking. I've got 5 kids, but that's something that we walked through. Dealt with miscarriage, dealt with friendships kind of crumbling around us. We've dealt with Jesus-y people not treating us so Jesus-y, and every single one of those things was tough and hurt. I didn't like any of it. And God didn't cause any of it, but He used it to help me develop my faith, to make me a stronger Jesus follower with a little bit more endurance, and use me to shape me so that I could serve Him and others better. So, when you find yourself in this time, and in other times in your life too, because we're always going to have stuff that hurts us and shakes us. When you find yourself wondering where God is in all this, or you find yourself getting angry at others because they're not leading or acting in the way that you want them to, or you're frustrated about not being in control, which for me, that's the big one. Or if you just find yourself really suffering with loneliness or anxiety or depression, I want you to remember what James has to say here. That this is the kind of stuff that tests your faith. God doesn't cause it, but He uses it to help test your faith. This is the kind of stuff that helps build your endurance so that you are a stronger, more mature, more Jesus-y person who can use all of this to help others, to serve God better, to serve our community better. Now, that still doesn't mean I like this verse. It doesn't mean I like going through the tough stuff. It just means that I know that God can use it for His good and for His kingdom. So I don't like the verse any better, but I hope this helps you persevere through this tough time and the other tough times that you're going to have in your life too. See you later, guys.